This is Karen with newclevelandradio.net, and it is time for Heart Mojo with Melinda Smith. And as usual, Melinda has another interesting guest for us today. So give us a little bit of background.
Hi, Hilary. How you doing?
Good,
Okay.
good. How are you this morning, Melinda?
Good. This is Hilary King from Creative Moves, and she has what I think is a tough job. She has to help people downsize and then move to a different location. But before we talk about the company, tell me a little bit about you and, your history and how you got to this company, how you started this company.
Sure. Well, thank you for giving me the opportunity, Melinda. I really appreciate everything you do in our field to make it easier for people to either continue to live in their homes or enjoy a transition that can be tough. I started Creative Moves in 2016 after helping my mom downsize from the home that I grew up in. Our family, she and my father raised us in. To an apartment, and it was a huge task. She had lived there for 53 years, and as you can imagine, her home was beautiful, but after 53 years and raising three children, you accumulate a lot of things. So we all helped her as a family team and got it done, and she moved into her new home. She was really happy, but at the end of it all, I thought to myself, how do people do this on their own? I had worked in real estate as a real estate lawyer and as a realtor for many years, and was always on the other side of the table saying, congratulations, you bought your new home, or, here, all the documents are set, you own the home now. And often, for people actually buying and moving into their new home, that was just the beginning of their journey. And so I started doing some research and found the National Association of Senior and Specialty Move Managers and did research on how they approached helping families make these big transitions, and ultimately trained with them. My team has trained with NASM and learned how to help people make these moves, which often are made during difficult times, in ways that are really supportive and with a, a look forward to what life can be like at the end of the move. And I just absolutely love what we do now in helping people create new homes. Yeah.
So do you think what you did before, you were an attorney, you said, correct?
Yes.
Helped you decide, what made you decide to leave that career and go there? I guess that's other than your mom.
Well, I left the law practice when my husband and I moved back here from New York City, where I had practiced. I grew up in Ohio, in Northeast Ohio, and we decided after it was about 2002 that we really loved Ohio. It was peaceful, it was easy compared to New York, and we had a lot of family here. So that was a huge transition for me, leaving my practice in New York, a big transition that I thought I would never make, but I'm grateful to my husband for suggesting it because it was really the best decision we ever made. It was wonderful to be here with family. Yeah.
So one of the things that from the information you've sent me about your company is helping people who don't have anybody. You came back here, you had family, you could restart. How do you help the people who don't have family members to work with you? You have to work with just them.
Well, Creative Moves helps people really focus on what needs to be done for the move and what's important to them now. Often people haven't moved for a really long time, so they just haven't thought about everything that's involved in a move. And also, they're often in a bit of a panic because they are feeling overwhelmed. Panic might be too much of an exaggeration, but they're feeling overwhelmed because they just don't know how they can accomplish it. They remember moves they had when they were younger and friends pitched in, or they just had more energy. and were able to just throw themselves into it, get it done, move on, and do whatever else they needed or wanted to do in their lives. But for a lot of people, this is a really major change. And so we help people sort of look at the whole scope of it, but realize that just taking one thing at a time can help you get it done. And it can get done. And people do it on their own as well.
Right.
And we help people accomplish it without our help for one reason or another, if they plan far enough ahead.
So how do people who are by themselves and in maybe an emergency situation, how are they finding you? Like, how do you get to them?
Okay. Most of the people who find us through word of mouth referrals. We do a little bit of advertising, but really not very much. We mainly hear from people who have spoken to a friend or family member who has worked with us in the past.
So if they have family, do you try to pull that family in to help, or is it just you?
No, it really depends on the family. Some family members are eager to help. They're here in town, and they're able to help. Um, some families, that's just not the case. They may be in town, but they're busy. They have families of their own or work of their own that doesn't enable them to give as much time as they want to. Sometimes people have health challenges, so they can't help as much as they want to. Sometimes the family member will say, you know what, I love my child, but they're really not very much help. And so, we work with the family so that we're really helping them make this move comfortable. And so maybe the child who's not very much help wants to be informed, so we inform them. Maybe they don't want anything to do with it at all, and so we really stay hands off. We always do what our client wants us to do, what they feel most comfortable with. Sometimes families have members who are going to fly in for a weekend. And so we will do whatever we can to make that easy for them to contribute however they want to. It might be that we'll go through everything in an attic and get it all sorted and organized. So all of the family pictures and mementos are together. So when the family flies in, they can spend the weekend looking at all the family pictures or mementos or things that are really sentimentally important, and they can decide what they want to do, as a group with all those things. That's one of the ways we work with families, but it really all depends on the individual family. We tailor what we do to what the family wants us to do, what our
So
client
you
wants
can
us to
either use the family as part of your assistance to go through the
do.
things, or you have
Sure.
your own team.
Yes, and our team, we sometimes we'll do. Recently, we worked with a client who was moving, whose daughter was traveling, and so she wasn't able to help with getting everything ready for the move. Individually sorting through everything in the home with her parents, but she came back from her trip and wanted to help them move in. And so when we were helping move in, she worked with her mom on one area of the unpacking and settling, and we worked on another. So it's very individual, very individual. And we welcome family members who want to help, because it makes the house feel like a home. Yeah.
Well, and it may be easier for mom, right? Because her family's part of it. What
Yeah.
happens when the mom doesn't want to move, but she has to move?
Yeah, that's always really a challenge. And so um, we work side by side with people. We do a lot of listening to help family members um, really understand that this is harder, possibly harder than they think it is for their parent to move. There are a lot of memories. There are a lot of habits. Sometimes people know that they're very familiar with their home. And so challenges that their children might not be as aware of, just navigating rooms, finding things, um, th- they need help with, and they're afraid that the move isn't just moving from their home and maybe losing independence that they've had, but it is not knowing how well they're going to be able to fare and take care of themselves in their new home as well. And so we try to be realistic with all of the family members about what that means, and we work really hard to with a client so that when they move into the home, that home is familiar to them and it's easy for them to reach the things that they use all the time. They're bringing the things that they love and use and are familiar. We do a lot of floor planning and conversations around floor planning with families, but also where everything is located in the home so that it's very comfortable. Because it's a big change. When anyone moves, it's a big change.
Right.
One of the greatest stressors of life, moving. And so we try to make that as easy and enjoyable as possible. We
I've moved
have
4
fun.
times in 10 years.
Yeah. And
4 times.
that's
It
a
is not
lot.
fun.
Not fun.
And each time I get rid of more things.
Yeah.
But that's a challenge right there. And I know,
Yeah.
because I've heard you speak before, that you have tricks to help people keep the memory, but get rid of the item
Right.
or repurpose it. Can you share some of those?
Right.
Because it is a big challenge. It's a challenge for me, and I already know all of this. I work with seniors too, and
Sure.
I
Sure.
see how much stuff that they have. If you start early, it's a good thing. Just anybody listening,
Exactly.
start early.
And that's my number one.
So
The earlier you can start, the better. Even if you're not thinking about moving, look around and see, are there just things that are easy to let go of? That you don't use, they're damaged, and you set them aside to maybe fix one day, and you're not going to fix them. They just are still there because for one reason or another, it was difficult to remove.
well, the
Get them
generation makes a
out.
difference. Some of these people keep it
Yeah.
because they were in that generation where you repurpose it,
Right.
reuse it, give it to us in your family.
Yeah.
We don't do that anymore. Everything's
Well,
disposable.
it's so true. Everything is disposable, but we found that there are some things that people do want. And that's why starting early, when you can share things with your kids and say, would you like to keep this? If you get a no, believe the no, and see if there's someone else who might want it. Donate things. When you have enough time, you can it gives you more time to find new homes for things when you start early, with people that either or an organization you work with that feels good. And often that is one of the best ways to let go of something where people really feel like, okay, it might not be my kids who have it, but I know this neighbor or a friend will really like it. We worked with one family where the sons had a few sets of silver that their parents had left, and they didn't know what to do with them. They didn't want to sell them, to have them melted down, but one of them was a professor, and one of his favorite students was getting married. And he asked them, would you like that? And they were like, oh, that's too big a gift, And he's like, no, no. It's important. They said we would, but and they were really, really overjoyed to have such a memento of their ongoing relationship, and it really meant a lot to him to know where it would go. And they even had them over for dinner and using it, and it was just really wonderful. So opportunities like that are fantastic. And sometimes, once we start working with someone, they realize as we're going, and we work with a sense of humor, that as we're going, they realize like maybe they don't need 20 of something, maybe
Mhm.
one or two or three even is enough. And so as the process goes on, people are a little bit more willing to let go of things and realize like this whole group of whatever it might be is not valuable to them, but there's certain things that are very valuable. And so they realize they would rather keep those things that are more meaningful and
Mhm.
let the others go. So it's a process.
I think it's hard with all the emotion attached to some of those items.
Yeah.
So, for example, my mother has my grandmother's Hummels,
Oh, yeah,
and Hummels in their day were quite expensive and everybody wanted them. Hummels
exactly.
today are not that
So,
way. There might be one or two.
yeah,
How do you work with the emotional attachment? Because
yeah.
I mean, even with myself, and we'll get back to the kids' artwork in a minute, save that for after. But even for me, it's hard. And I mean, I do find it easier for me to think, well, somebody's going to get this and they're going to be so excited because they found this. So in my head,
Right.
as I'm donating, that's what I put in my brain.
Yeah.
But there are emotional attachments. Maybe their husband passed away and this was a set that they enjoyed together, but
Right.
they have to get rid of it.
Yeah.
How do you work with that?
Yeah. It's a very, it's challenging. It's challenging. We worked with a couple of families actually, where the couple is downsizing and they might have a whole bookcase full of scrapbooks of all the trips they've taken. And so one of the things that they've done is spend the evenings going through scrapbooks and pulling the pictures out of the things that were really meaningful to them and letting everything else go. And so that's something I would suggest too for people who are on their own is go through the pictures, but maybe not by yourself. If you have a friend who will come and sit with you, even if you have someone who, visits and will come and sit with you while you do it. Sometimes that's a way of doing it that makes it a little more enjoyable. People tell us stories about their items and their pictures. And sometimes I think just sharing with us, I wish it were with their family, but just sharing with us makes them they relive the experience, they've shared the experience, and through doing that they can let go of something. We take pictures of things if people would like pictures. We've helped people
Yeah.
create um, albums of pictures that are the most important to them. And so we might take pictures of items, and so they'll just have a photo album of items. Often through that process, though, people will say, you know what? The memory is enough. I don't even need the picture anymore. The memory is enough. And it's just talking about it that makes such a difference for people.
Well,
So,
that's what always stuck in my
yeah.
mind when I heard you speak, because my children's artwork, I had tons of it. And, from the first scrap that you stuck on your refrigerator to the last thing they did in high school.
Yeah.
And I had attended one of your seminars, one of your speaking engagements, and you said, take a picture of it
Yeah.
and then you can let it go. And I did
Mhm.
that. And you know what? I haven't looked at one of those pictures since I
Oh,
took it.
yeah.
Not one.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it allowed me to let it go,
Right.
which was hard because it's not like you're donating that. That's going in the garbage. And I think
Yeah.
there's a
Yeah.
difference to donating to a cause or an
Mhm.
organization versus looking at it and going, oh my gosh, I'm going to throw it in garbage. And the same thing
Right.
with pictures, because we spent so much money printing pictures
That's
and all
right.
those memories, and now everything's on our phone, which we
Mhm.
still don't really look at either, do we? It's funny. But it's hard to throw pictures away. It feels like you're
It
throwing a
is.
piece of the person away.
It is. I wish I could remember the movie, but there was a movie where someone was moving and they had a suitcase and they were taking a big trip, like from New York to California to become a star or something like that. And they opened up the suitcase, and the last thing they took from their room was one picture of their mother. And they put that one picture of their mother in their suitcase, closed the suitcase, and they were on their way. And I think in some ways, we've lost that sort of the value, that the way we cherished that one picture was enough
Mhm.
to represent their mom, and everything that was important about their relationship. That one picture was enough to take with them. And sometimes I think because it's so easy to take so many pictures now and multiply so many of the things that we have, that we lose that value of the one thing that really stands for something, instead of it being the thing itself. So I think that I can't say that I've gone back to that on my own, but that sentiment of having, one really good picture can mean so much. And so I would just encourage people to think about that. If you were going to go on a trip and only have a suitcase, what would you take? Yeah.
Right. I mean,
Hilary, do you ever have your clients, when they're going through these scrapbooks or pictures or even looking at mementos,
Mhm.
videotaping them telling their stories? Because sometimes that's what their family wants more than the actual item. And I know we did that with my parents, and my mother even pointed some things out in the house, and she said, "You may think this is important to me. It's not. I just like the
What?
coloring."
Exactly. I got it at a flea market,
Yeah, exactly.
and I thought it was sparkly, so I
Yeah.
got it. Exactly. Yeah, we have done that in the past. Sometimes people are really inhibited and not inhibited. I'm not wild about being photographed, but they'll say, I just don't, I want them just to remember me as I am. And as they remember me, I don't want them to see me today because I don't feel great today or I don't look great today. So it really depends on, or they feel they don't look great,
Sure.
And so, so it really depends on the individual. But I love that idea. And there's some wonderful companies out there who will help you tell your story and, photograph things or video things as you go. And so, we always suggest that as an option if the family wants that, because that can be, they're very, very helpful. Yeah.
I have a client for my new business, and
Mhm.
what I'm helping her do is go through her pictures, and she's doing a box for her funeral. Her
Mm,
idea is she wants to share with people the pictures of her life that meant something to her,
yes.
not what her son might see, because it might not be the same thing. She
Right.
felt that these represented her life. And I thought that was a really cool thing to do. And it's not really morbid. I mean, she's not sick at this moment or anything. She just thought, well, I have to deal with all my clutter. I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
at least take these items and put them so that they know and mark it. This is what I want to use. I want you to use. So I
Yeah.
thought that was a great idea.
I think it's an absolutely wonderful idea, and it's a real gift to her family that she's doing that, because she is taking a lot of unease and uncertainty away from them in a very difficult time when they'll be grieving her loss. They'll
Right.
know this is what she wanted them to do. And it's also a real look into like what was important, for kids. Sometimes you
Mhm.
find out things that you never knew before about a parent when they start talking about, sharing things like that. So that's great.
Right.
Yeah.
The other thing that one of my clients had told me that they did is they took boxes for their children and put the things in there that they thought were important. Books that they
Mhm.
read to them every night,
Yeah.
certain pictures, maybe one stuffed or two stuffed animals or toys.
Mhm.
The way that she felt is, I'm going to give it to them. If they don't want it, I don't know. I'm just going to give it to them.
Right.
They take it away. And then if they keep it, they keep it. If they don't, they don't. But you
Yeah.
kind of, as a parent, feel like you've done your job by
Exactly.
giving them some
Exactly.
mementos of growing up.
I think that's a
But
really
it,
wonderful thing to do. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, it's just interesting how kids don't think they want anything until later.
Yeah.
Because in one of my moves, I was getting these toys and getting rid of them. My son goes, "Why are you getting rid of that? I want that." In a million years, I would never have guessed that that's something that he wanted to keep.
Yeah.
And they weren't the bigger items, they were teeny items. And there
Yeah.
were two reasons. One, he has the most memory of holding that and
Oh,
for whatever reason, but also it fit to move easily
yes.
because he's helped
Exactly.
me move multiple times. And in
Mhm.
his mind is, I don't want all that big stuff, but he
Right.
does want some mementos of his life.
Exactly. Something really beautiful that my mother-in-law did for all of her 7 children was as they graduated from college, she pulled together everything that they, birth certificates, baby pictures, baby announcements, their report cards, pictures of all their activities in school and important family pictures and all sorts of things like that. And she put them all in scrapbooks for each one of them. I don't know how she ever had the time, but she did it. And, when they were younger, they were like, oh, that's a nice thing, Mom. But now they all feel those are invaluable. And instead of a big 10 boxes of things to sort through, they've got this scrapbook that she spent the time making it for them herself. And they all really cherish them. So that's a beautiful idea. Again, it's small. It's easy to transport it, and they can share it with their children too, which is really, really sweet.
It
Yeah.
goes back to your idea of the one picture.
Yeah.
Because if you put it all together in one, whether it's one box, one whatever, it's something that they can take along and move in their life.
Right.
Right.
I
Right.
think a hard thing with young people today is because we don't all live and work our whole lives in one area like we used to, and grandma and grandpa moved in the house and they lived
Yeah.
till they passed, and we don't have that connection. And I think that makes it hard when it comes to downsizing and getting rid of things or giving things to your family. They don't
Mhm.
have that same connection, like, oh, I want that. My
Right.
grandmother had 2 things that were her mother's, a teacup and a bell. And that meant that's it. I mean, she had some pictures and that, but not items. Those
Right.
things meant the world to her to have those 2 items. And she
Mhm.
looked at them every day. We all heard the stories when we were there.
Yeah.
Ran through the town with the bell when World War I was over. So it
Oh,
had a
wow.
history to it.
Yes, yes.
That
Well,
and
that's
those things
amazing.
now my mother has. And
Mhm.
and because I've heard the stories, it means something to me. But my
Right.
children, I
Yeah.
don't think so.
Well, maybe at some point, maybe at some point. And now might be a great time to take a picture of the bell and write the story along with it so that if sometime the bell is gone, they find the bell and they don't know like
What it means.
why later on maybe they'd appreciate it more and they'll have your notes about what the bell
Mhm.
meant to your family. Yeah. Yeah.
Those are, to me, those are really cool items to keep, even
Mhm.
though I don't collect bells. She did.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hummels, bells, all that kind of stuff. So,
I have a little wooden screwdriver that was my grandfather's. And that same thing, it just means so much to me. It's this little tiny wooden handled screwdriver. And my grandpa used it. And when I would visit him, he would use it. And so it's a really, I don't know, it's just a wonderful memory I have of being with
right.
him. Yeah. Yeah.
So people downsize from homes to apartments or condos.
Hmm.
How do you work with the one that's going to assisted living, which means it's super limited space?
Right. Well, we try to help them foresee what that's going to be like. Often they've gone to and visited the unit themselves, and so they can see that it's smaller. Sometimes people are moving straight from rehab to assisted living,
Yeah,
and
that's
so
tough.
they don't have the chance to even see what it looks like. So we always create floor plans and talk with people about the furniture that they really want to take and whether it will fit and how it will fit, how maybe some pieces of furniture can be repurposed for different things so that they can still have the things that are important to them. We talk with them about what their life is like now and how they use things in their home right now so that the things that they are using and they are comfortable with are move with them as much as possible because that's really important, especially if someone is cognitively challenged. The more
Mm,
familiar things look, the easier the transition can be for them. And so we spend a lot of time really, going through making sure that They understand what their choices mean in terms of where, whether things will fit, how they will fit, um, and without being, I don't want to say technical but helping people prioritize what they're moving with them, because that really, at some point, when people realize, like, I really can't take everything, they have to think about, well, what are the most important things? And, when they realize that there isn't storage at the assisted living, and their kids aren't going to store everything for them indefinitely, that those are some of the things that people over time, so most people realize. For some people, it's truly, a challenge for them, because the possessions are more than, sentimental. The possessions are filling another,
Need.
a need. Yeah. And so we work with them in different ways. Yeah.
Having the items be similar when they move, when I worked in assisted living, was so important.
Mm-hmm.
So for example, my mother lives in a 55 and over community,
Mm-hmm.
and she has the beginnings of dementia.
Oh.
There is a picture that she wakes up to that she's had since she was a little girl
Mm-hmm.
in the bedroom, in her original bedroom, so it is moved with her back to Cleveland. She was in Florida at my grandparents. It was there. And then when they moved here, they brought it. That
Mm-hmm.
picture grounds her.
Yeah.
So she had just been in the hospital for a week, and she would say that if she could wake up and see her picture, she knew she was okay.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So hopefully, I would think when you move people, you try
Mm-hmm.
to take those types of items that make them feel at home and remember who they
Definitely.
are, because
And
without it, she'd forget.
yeah, when I was saying earlier, we do a lot of things to help even recreate an area in a home, so that it really feels like home to them,
Mhm.
and in whatever way is important to them. And we ask people about that, but sometimes people, if they have challenges, aren't able to express it, but we watch how they live in the space while we're working with them, to see what are they relating to, what are they touching, what are they looking at, where do they sit, what do they look at while they're sitting. A whole lot of things that we do
Right.
to really observe and make the home safe, emotionally and physically safe. Yeah.
Moving
Because
people.
that was such a beautiful thing that you said, that picture grounds her.
Right. Right.
Because that really, for a lot of people, there are things that tell them, I'm home, I am in my own
And
space.
I'm safe.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
So for her, what we realized is wherever she goes, if she has to move into the picture will be going with her
Right,
for
right.
sure.
Yeah.
I think having even a favorite comforter,
Mm-hmm.
something like that, I'm sure is just as important as the furniture.
Yeah, all of
Bedding,
it. Exactly.
blankets.
Pillows, things that even smell familiar. It's important. Sometimes family will push, oh, you're moving to a new place. Let's get all new
Get
bedding.
new
Let's
things.
get all new everything. It'll be fresh, it'll be new, because they feel like their parents have had all the things they have forever, and it's time for a change. But that's really not what their parents want. Though I have to say, we worked with a lovely lady who lived in an absolutely gorgeous home, all
Mhm.
taupes and neutrals and beautiful textures and finishes. It was absolutely lovely. And she said, you know what? I am so tired of all this gray. I want color. And she and her husband used to travel all over the world. And they had all these mementos from all over the world. And so we collected all of those mementos. They were all bright and cheerful and colorful. And so when she moved into her new home, she had it painted, usually with like a pop of color here and there on the walls. And she displayed all of these colorful items from their travels that really made her feel very happy. And so, you know, we always listen to what people want because she wanted something completely different. Yeah, it was fun.
It's funny, you never know what
Yeah.
someone's gonna like
Yeah.
when they move, what it is about the location.
Mhm. Mhm.
So do you know what story I have for that?
I don't.
Your mom. I was working somewhere where her mother was moving to, but she had toured it. And she toured a couple other locations. And
Yeah.
the reason she chose that location was the pink roses border because it made her feel comfortable and at
Mhm.
home. And she's still there.
Yeah. 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 She loves pink.
So you don't know. She likes pink. She liked it. And
Yeah.
what did she have in her room? Pink roses. I made sure she had pink roses so she felt comfortable. But my
Yeah.
point is, you never know. So when you go through, when you're helping people, you never know what that one or two items is that makes a difference.
Mhm. It's very,
Right?
very, very true. And we really listen. If people are excited, sometimes people love the view that they have, or they're, you
Mhm.
know, in their old home. So we try to make sure that the views that they have, their bed is situated so that they have a great view. You know, whatever we can do so that whatever they enjoy is enhanced. Because it's just that's what you would do for yourself, you know, it's what you would do for your
Right.
own mom. Yeah. So
What kind of time does it take when you go in from start to finish with the average person?
you know, it really depends on the move because one thing we do, we always provide a free in-home consultation for people because it really does depend. And we provide an estimate too. Some people will you know, want us to do absolutely everything because they don't have family involved and they physically can't do it. And so that's going to be much more expensive and time consuming than the person who says, you know what, I'm moving in a year and I need some help with some areas that are tough in our house. We have, you know, we lost a child and I just can't go into his room alone. So we need more help with that. But I think we can do most of the home in terms of sorting, but we'll need help, you know, with other things as we get closer to the move. So, you know, it really, really depends. We've worked with people who are minimalists. One man who had 12 boxes. That's all he had
Oh
to
my
move.
goodness.
Yeah, that was it. And he even felt that he might be taking too much.
Oh my gosh. Karen,
And
can you imagine that?
yeah.
I can't, no.
I know you can't. Yeah.
Yeah, and most people moving into assisted living, it's probably like 2 or 3 times that much
Yeah.
for one person. And so it really depends on people's, you know, ability to do more, how much time it will take, and if there are cognitive issues, sometimes, you know, that influences it as well. So it really
So
depends. That's why that time is important. That first meeting is important in the home. Yeah.
you can do anything for them from clothing to the items in the house, right?
Yes, we help with everything, you know, from cars, whether, you know, helping to sell cars or transport them to, you know, finding buyers for fine jewelry and, you know, creating artwork, finding collectors who might be, they won't pay a lot, but they might be interested in Hummels. You know, and so we really do whatever we can to help people find new homes for things. Yeah.
So can you, if they want to send it to a relative, you can help them do that, get it boxed up and get it
Yes.
sent.
Yes, we help with that. We're not movers, but we help we have partners who do art creating, shipping, moving, um, any kind of transporting you can imagine,
So
who are
you can be a
very, very
resource for
good at
them.
what we do. Yeah, so we serve as a resource. We don't receive any, our goal is to find the best service for our clients.
Mhm.
So we don't receive any fee from anyone for any of those referrals.
True.
Just want to find the right person for them.
And that's why I love you so much. You do
Oh,
such a great job.
thank you. Thank
So is there anything we've forgotten to talk about? Because we're nearing our
Oh
time and,
gosh. Oh, one thing, pets.
oh,
Often
that's right.
people have pets, and it's really a challenge for them to make a move with a pet. Sometimes it can be more difficult to find a new home. Sometimes they are not as able to take care of the pet.
Mhm.
And so there are all kinds of restrictions that are that a building might have, but also that the individual has. And so sometimes the pet moves with them, and we help with that. And sometimes they need to find a new home for the pet. And so it really depends on those circumstances. But that's something to think about as well, because if the pet is moving with the family member, you need to think about in a very small space, especially in assisted living or an apartment, where is their bedding going to go? Where are their supplies going to go? And
And
usually,
they get outside for a walk.
exactly. How is that going to happen? And so people have to make sometimes everything works out and it's wonderful, but sometimes people have to make some hard choices because they physically can't take care of the pet anymore.
Right.
So that's hard.
And
But
it's
so
hard for them.
far, yeah, so far, in any circumstance like that, they've always been able to find a happy new home for the pet. So that's
That's
good.
good.
Yeah, yeah.
So you've,
I have a dog, so I really care about I really care.
well, and it's hard too, because my mother lost her dog, and when she moved,
Oh,
she wanted another one, and she just physically can't do it.
yeah,
So
yeah.
there are great services that have dogs and
Mhm.
cats that they can bring in to visit people.
Yeah.
So if that's a challenge for your loved one, there are ways that you could work around it
There are, and
and bring some pets in.
and a live pet is wonderful. That's ideal. But for a visit. But we worked with one client whose son gave her a automated cat. And when you stroke it, because she lost her cat right before she moved, and it was awful. And he gave her this cat that when you stroke, it responds. Sometimes it
Or
purrs, sometimes it lifts its head, sometimes it's very different. So it's very responsive. And she loved it when she first got it, and she wasn't doing that well. She was recovering from an illness. And so she absolutely loved that cat. And after a while, the cat was put gently on the shelf, but she was okay. But for the transition, it was a wonderful thing. So
I love that
that's
idea.
another option.
That's
Yeah.
going to help a lot of people who live
Yeah.
through that challenge. I'm
Yeah.
going to go look for that myself, if I can give that
Yeah.
to my mother to help her.
Yeah.
So Hilary, thank you for being on. Tell me how people can reach out to you.
Well, people can reach us through our website, which is creativemovesllc.com, or by phone at 216-925-2393, 216-925-2393, or through in our email. There's a link on our website, but you can also email us at info@creativemovesllc.com.
A lot of those things will be in the show notes as well, so
Oh,
people can reach out.
terrific. Thank you, Melinda.
Well, thank you so much for being on. I hope that anyone listening, if they're in this challenge, they know you can help them get through it.
Well, thank you very much. It's really a pleasure to talk with you.
Thank you very much, Hilary. Have a great day.
Have a great
Thank
day.
you.
Bye.
Bye.